Get ready for some exciting Formula One news. Following their successful race at the Spanish Grand Prix, Mercedes is ramping up their efforts to enhance performance for this and upcoming seasons. Their engineers at Brackley are focusing on a major upgrade to the car's suspension system, recognizing its potential to significantly boost performance. This development comes at a crucial time as Mercedes negotiates a new contract with none other than Lewis Hamilton himself. Join us as we delve into the extensive modifications planned by the team and explore their impact on Hamilton's decision to commit to Mercedes. But before we do that, don't forget to hit that like and subscribe button down below if you like all things F1. Alright, now let's get back to the video. After a successful race in Spain, Brackley engineers are diligently upgrading the car's suspension system to enhance performance. These modifications are crucial for Mercedes' negotiations with Lewis Hamilton. In a major design shift at Monaco, Mercedes introduced new side pods, but the main focus is on the new front suspension with anti-dive features, inspired by the dominant RB19. While the car's floor is important for downforce, the suspension system holds equal significance. Red Bull's Chief Technical Officer Adrian Newey has emphasized the importance of prioritizing the suspension system when designing the RB19, as he said, "All F1 teams are big engineering teams, but in terms of the involvement in meetings, I put my tuppence worth in. But it's the guys who bat those ideas around and come up with a list and go away and do the work. Specifically on this car, I did the front and rear suspension and a few other bits and pieces." If we closely observe the RB19's vehicle dynamics, we can notice how it maintains a low ride height throughout, whether on straights or corners. The Red Bull car remains stable without encountering any bouncing or porpoising issues. This is accomplished through a combination of a detailed floor and an intelligent suspension system. In simple terms, Red Bull employs anti-dive and anti-squat techniques to ensure stability during acceleration and braking, thereby maintaining a consistent aerodynamic pressure at the center of the car. This enables the car to run low, generate substantial downforce, and maintain stability, a feat that their competitors are struggling to achieve. On the F1 Nation podcast, Tom Clarkson emphasized that the 9 teams trailing behind Red Bull should take note of the specific area where their Chief Technical Officer, Adrian Newey, focused his efforts on the RB19, as it appears to be the primary factor differentiating their performance. Mercedes has recognized the importance of their suspension system and acknowledged the need for changes. They have taken inspiration from Red Bull suspension, which offers numerous advantages, despite having some downsides like tire warm-up issues. To address this, Mercedes has developed an entirely new front suspension system for the W14. However, the team is not stopping there and plans to make further improvements to their suspension system. According to Andrew Shovlin, the suspension is where the team sees the most potential for development. Discussing the new front suspension of the W14, Shovlin highlighted the increased freedom it provides to the engineers for setup and how it enhances the car's front-end performance. It is a case of trying to play with those geometries to get an influence on the aero platform to try and get a bit more stability in the car. It's probably given us more freedom because the issue that we always had prior to that was getting good front end when you needed it at the apex and good entry stability when you're hard on the brakes and turning in, Shovlin stated. He also added, "That compromise was always something that we couldn't resolve. You're always left with either a weak rear on entry or a poor fronted apex. So, hopefully that's moved us in the right direction." It's important to remember that the front suspension is just one part of the overall suspension system in a car. Any changes made to the front suspension also require revisions to the rear suspension. Andrew Shovlin has mentioned that the team's main focus for their 2024 car, potentially the W15, is the rear suspension. You might wonder why they can't introduce a new rear suspension for the W14 in 2023. This decision is influenced by 2 factors: the budget cap and the homologation of the gearbox design. Shovlin has highlighted that the front suspension has been the most costly aspect of the upgrade package, and the team is constrained by the budget cap, which limits their spending on upgrades to the suspension system. Shovlin stated, "Fundamentally, we've done a new suspension this year. Suspensions are expensive things to bring to the car. So, the reality is with the cost cap, we're always looking at the championship situation. We don't know how much we will do. I wouldn't expect that we're going to be making massive strides. What we have realized is there's actually quite a rich team of development here that we can start to look at. He continued saying, so those programs are working, but the challenge is always how you get your aerodynamics and your vehicle dynamics to work together and optimize. Every team's up to that kind of process, but it's looking at where are the opportunities and how can you bring the two together so they work as one package. Even if Mercedes had an unlimited budget, they would still be unable to make major alterations to the rear suspension due to the technical regulations that freeze the gearbox design until next year. Since Mercedes produces their own gearbox and rear suspension, incorporating changes would be relatively straightforward. However, making significant design changes to the rear suspension geometry would require modifications to the gearbox, such as the gearbox casing. Unfortunately, the homologation rule restricts Mercedes from introducing a new rear suspension this year. Therefore, we can anticipate a significant overhaul of the rear suspension system on the W15 next year. Due to these limitations, Andrew Shovlin does not expect the team to make significant advancements this season. The Silver Arrows are unable to bring the desired upgrades they eagerly seek. This sheds light on the development direction Mercedes may pursue from next year onwards. It is intriguing to note Shovlin's mention of the team's extensive development plans. Mercedes has the ability to experiment with various changes in the simulator, and they have likely identified significant performance gains over their current design. This is exciting news for Formula 1 fans, as Mercedes now understands where they can make substantial improvements to their car. With this knowledge, the team may feel confident about closing the gap to Red Bull in the upcoming season. Lewis Hamilton, who has yet to sign a contract with Mercedes or any other team, would be pleased to hear this. There have been rumors about Mercedes and Hamilton being close to signing a new contract, but nothing has been finalized. Speculation suggests that Hamilton wanted to assess Mercedes' prospects and the potential performance boost they would achieve with the upgrades, ensuring he has a strong chance of winning his 8th world title with the team. The recent upgrade package introduced in Monaco seems to have provided the crucial performance gain. After the race in Barcelona, Hamilton mentioned that contract negotiations are at an advanced stage. He has accepted that this season is not favorable for his title aspirations and emphasized the importance of Mercedes closing the gap to Red Bull in order to contend for the championship from the very beginning of the next season. Hamilton said, "I'm hoping at least by the end of the year, it would be great if we can challenge Red Bull. But I'm more focused on making sure that we have the car next year to challenge them from day one. The further we continue to push this car this year, the more that impacts next year also in some ways. But the more we learn about this car also sets us in the right direction." After seeing the impressive performance at the Spanish Grand Prix, Lewis Hamilton became even more convinced to commit to Mercedes for the upcoming years. The recent news about the team's extensive development plans for next year further bolsters Hamilton's confidence. Damon Hill, a former F1 world champion, views the results of the Spanish GP as a vindication for Hamilton's abilities. He said, "But to hear Lewis say, 'I've enjoyed driving the car,' that's a good sign. It's also vindication for him because he's been saying, 'I told you we should have done something earlier.' And they've gone and done what he's been pleading with them to do, and they've seen some progress. So, well done, Lewis." This is just going to move Hamilton that bit close to sign that contract with Mercedes. Thank you for joining us on this exciting exploration of Mercedes' pursuit of performance excellence in Formula 1. Will Mercedes' upgraded suspension system give them the edge they need? Will Lewis Hamilton commit to the team for another thrilling chapter? Let us know in the comments below. And as always, thank you for watching, and we'll see you in the next video.